Pecha Kucha 262, Inktober 2021, week 2. So this has been the first full week, and it's been a learning experience, but that's really what the goal of this year's Inktober is. I'm not using a prompt list. I just want to sit down, draw manga, and figure out how to do it better, faster, harder, stronger, etc., right? So I'm still working through my Dragon Ball stuff. I came to Piccolo. I was like, I want to draw him cool. It took me a long time to settle on something where he could fight Android 17, which I think is one of the highlights of his, shall we say, run in Dragon Ball Z. And then it was just a matter of how do I render this? Piccolo's arm is quite complicated. Luckily, it's offset by the fact that the way that in the manga his clothes are coloured it's just block black. So with the G pen, I've been very delicate in my application of lines. I try to be as precise as I can without spending the rest of my life just trying to do any one thing. I've added action lines using Clip Studio Paint's special ruler tools. I love these things. I do need to be looking for effort and time-saving tools wherever I can find them. And then the next day was Frieza, and as is my ambition for all of these, the idea is I draw one person specifically, but then I put in supplemental characters and or a background. So I've really been trying to be quite ambitious with these things. So yes, Frieza equals Zarpon and Dodoria on the ship. I did a rough of each of the characters looking at just stuff online, and then I was kind of a little obtuse and I started inking Frieza, but I really needed to add a more defined layer, which is this one, of his actual forms, especially in his little hover scooter nonsense thing. And then I had my background, which it reminds me of something I've seen where if you use double lines to denote things, they look cooler. So there's just a lot of shitty paneling in the background, but trust me, doubling up on the lines makes it look almost professional. And I had a great deal of ease doing the window just using one of the parallel circle tools. If everything could be that easy and come out looking that clean, I might have a prayer when it comes to this manga. This was the most difficult picture I think I've had to deal with this week because it so desperately needs to not just be black and white. It needs greys, and that's kind of changed my thinking going forward. Then I decided to draw Cell, and I was like, well, I always draw perfect Cell, so let's draw a different Cell. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just get a picture that Akira Toriyama did, and let's just try and copy it and see if my fidelity with the G pen holds up in any way, shape, or form. I had to go pick a picture that's actually like in perspective because I'm so clever. And I do need to pay more attention to the canvas size being the same proportions as the image I'm looking at, but I can always crop the background. It's awkward, but I think ultimately I got pretty close, considering I'm probably always going to be like a reckless amateur when it comes to using the G pen brush, which really does, in a digital setting, amplify things like hand wobble. Although I think if you just zoom in and you make peace with it, you can get stuff going. So then I thought, you know what, I'm doing all these heavy hitters. I want to draw Krillin. And then it just turned into something like, let's have him at Kame House, let's have him with his girlfriend, and somehow Goku and Vegeta in the background. But this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, there are so many characters and there's like stuff going on in the background, and for there to be no grey, the picture just feels unfinished. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to go back over these, but going forward, I think I do want to step away from clean G-pen line work, and that's all there is. So I moved on to Fist of the North Star, Hokuto no Ken afterwards, and then I was just thinking, you know what, images is nice, but let's look at doing pages. Because for reference, I'm looking at actual pages of the manga. And I was like, let's use a different tool, because I like the dark pencil tool. It's like a 2B pencil, traditionally speaking. I have a confidence when I apply my line work with it. So let's see if I can just do a rough pencil based on a page, and then just come in with this 2B pencil, this dark pencil tool, and see if I can render form without worrying so much about how specific or how clean the line work is, but just like denote forms. And let's go hard on the screen tones. Let's go hard on the grays, and let's see if we can use Manga Studio for what it's for, to make manga pages. And I think this bottom panel here, it gives me hope. I found a lovely material texture to use that like breaks up grays. It really makes it look a lot better than it has any right to be. And then after Kenshiro as the focus, I was like, let's have one that's got Rao in it. I swear to God, he shows up, I end up just reading the comic. Love it. I love it. So he's just showing up, and I'm like, I'm penciling the page, and then I have this great idea that I spring on myself without even letting me know. Let's draw it again from memory. What do I actually remember from what I literally just drew? And what I found was, because Rao takes up a quarter of the page, I remember a lot about him, but his helmet's a bit much. Most of the positioning of the characters is the same, and then the idea is, having penciled it again from memory, let's just block it in with no reference and see how I would create a manga page as I'm going to start doing from November, but based on the tools I already have in my head. And I feel this one guy with the two swords is the only guy I drew where I was actually starting to get into the swing of things and like figuring out how to render people without detail but without them looking too crappy. And then again, I went hard with I airbrushed all of the stuff here. It's the thing with Hokuto no Ken is it's quite dark. I think there's several different versions of the comic, and one of them is fully colored, and some of the scans I'm looking at might be grayscale versions of those color images. Typically, manga aren't dark or so heavy on the grey. Typically. Some of the stuff I've spoken about in the past is. But that's my week so far. I've enjoyed the direction it's going in with this idea of, like, let's start doing pages. Because this, the Dragon Ball stuff was, like, some of it's upwards of 5 hours per image. The Hokuto no Ken stuff, I'm trying to bring it down. I'm trying to bring it back. A few less hours per image. Because it's about how I deal with conceptualization more than worrying about rendering. I'm still trying to find a balance, because what I'm trying to learn is how I do these things and how I want to do these things. There'll be more, and I'll speak about it more then. So that's the end of Pecha Kucha 262, and I'll see you next time.